As the coronavirus is spreading around the globe, two technology companies, Google and Apple, have decided for the first time in history to join forces and work together to help governments and health institutions track the spread of the virus. And this has of course caused a lot of discussion about how can such applications work without breaching one's personal privacy, and how can they effectively track the spread of the virus without knowing the location of its users. So what I'm going to do in this video is try to explain in very simple terms the rather complex technical details of how these applications would work, and how can you as a user make sure that your own personal information is never sent online. So one of the best ways to explain how these applications work is maybe to tell a little story. So let's imagine on one side we have Bob, and on the other side we have Alice. And Alice and Bob spent a lot of time at the park talking about their hobbies, interests, and so on. And as they're talking, their phones are also exchanging some relevant data. Bob's phone, via Bluetooth, about every minute or so is sending some unique codes to Alice's phone. And Alice's phone is doing the same thing. Every 15 minutes this code will change and stay absolutely unique. The following day, Bob doesn't feel so well, and he decides to go to the hospital. Once there, he gets diagnosed with the virus, and the hospital will ask him for his own personal documents as they usually do. But this time, they will also ask Bob if he wants to share the unique ID related to the tracing application. This ID is then taken and sent to the online database. The online database contains all the IDs of the tracing applications of users who've been diagnosed with the virus. Alice's phone scans the online database, gets the ID and uses it to generate all the possible codes that this ID could have generated on Alice's or Bob's phone. If a match is found, so if Alice's phone contains a code that is equal to a code generated from the online database, then that means that Alice has been in touch with someone who recently contracted the virus, and she gets notified. At this point, Alice has three choices: go to the hospital and get tested, staying at home, or ignoring the notification and carry on with her life. Alright, so let's look at the technical details. So when you download the app, your device is assigned a unique tracing key. A tracing key is a unique encrypted key that lives on your phone, that is never shared with anyone, and that does not contain any personal information. The tracing key is then used by the app to generate every day a new daily tracing key. A daily tracing key can be thought like a factory that generates what's called a rolling proximity identifier. And every 15 minutes a new of these identifiers is generated, and these are the codes that I was talking about when I was saying that Bob's and Alice's phone were exchanging messages, were exchanging codes. And of course, the reason why we have a tracing key generating a daily tracing key, so a new one every day, and a daily tracing key generating a rolling proximity identifier every 15 minutes is to increase the security of the application. It's to stop anyone from using these codes or trying to get a hold of these codes for any malicious intentions. So when you're walking around your neighborhood, your phone will be sharing and sending around the rolling proximity identifiers that change every 15 minutes, and they're absolutely unique to your device up to this point in time. If you are diagnosed with a virus, what happens is the hospital will ask you to provide the list of the last 14 days of daily tracing keys. These are then put on the online database, as I mentioned before. They get downloaded from other devices. At this point, other devices will be able to use your daily keys to generate the rolling proximity identifiers. So imagine a user who's generated rolling proximity identifiers from the online database, but also collected rolling proximity identifiers while walking around. All the application has to do is look in the list of the ones generated and compare it to the list of the ones collected. And if one matches, then of course the user has been in touch with someone who was diagnosed with the coronavirus. So what's really important to understand in this whole discussion is how there is no use of personal information, how there is no use of location details, how we can use a very simple Bluetooth technology to share unique codes that remain unique, secure, and encrypted on your device until you share the codes that were used to originate them, the daily tracing keys, at which point anyone can use those keys to generate the codes once again on their device and then just do a small comparison. And this is really powerful because it means your own personal information is never actually shared with anyone. There is nothing about you in those codes. There is nothing about your location, and there is absolutely nothing about the people you met with. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I think it's important for the users to be able to monitor the applications and see for themselves if any other personal information is being sent online. And of course, there is many ways of doing this, and I'm going to put some of these down below in the description of the video. But I would like to talk about the HiStack project. So the HiStack project is a project led by academics and researchers at the International Computer Science Institute. And the focus is around an app called Lumen. So let's take a look at this app together. So let's take a look at the Lumen app. This is a simple application. It does exactly what we want to. It will try to find leaks of data by monitoring other apps running on your device. So when you install the application, it will ask you for root access and a lot of permissions. Do allow all of these as they're used to monitor the other apps. And in this case, this is good. So we can take a look at traffic. We can see that on my device, 98% of all connections are HTTP connections. We can take a look at the apps being monitored. So we have Chrome, Maps, YouTube, and Reddit. Let's take a look at Reddit. So here I can block all traffic. I can see there are no leaks, no privacy leaks. I can see that all the connections are HTTPS connections, so they're secure connections. And then I can check the requested permissions. So for example, storage or networking and the level of risk they pose to my device and to my information. So the most relevant tab is the leaks tab. And here the application will list all the leaks that happened on your device. And I can see two here, the device model, which is a low risk. And this happened because WhatsApp tried to send my device model to google.com. We can take a look. And it says this value identifies my device model and manufacturer. And we can actually see the leak value SM G950F, which is my Samsung Galaxy 9. And I'm happy with these. I'm not too bothered. I'm okay with WhatsApp sending this information. And then we can also see the build fingerprint. So once again, low risk. This is also WhatsApp sending data to Google. And this is the value that identifies the OS on my phone. And we can see the actual leak value, which is really cool. So I'm not really bothered about this, but of course you can use this application and you can see the leaks and possible leaks incoming from COVID-19 tracking apps. And this will allow you to monitor exactly what data it's coming and going, and if these apps will share, for example, your location or any personal information. So as you can see, the power of the Lumen application and many other similar apps or monitoring systems is to be able to see if there are any leaks of data. If any of your personal information, of your device information, let's say your location, or any names or IDs, anything stored on your phone is being sent online. And of course, you can take actions as we've seen with Lumen. You can block the connections and so on. So I hope this video is being insightful and useful for many of you. And please feel free to reach out and add comments down below or email me about any questions or anything I can help with. Thank you.